Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. It's time to talk trades. It is me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia. With me, of course, is the Welsh. And today we're going to talk about some names to buy, to sell. We're going to debate. And ultimately, you can make the decision of the players you want to add to your roster. So before we do, just a quick reminder, subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop your comments below, and you might win yourself a Juan Gonzalez jersey. That's right, from Pristine Auction this month. That's the big giveaway. Welsh, I think a lot of people are going to start to give away Julio Rodriguez, probably one of the most disappointing round one selections of the MLB season so far. He has just 11 home runs as we approach the All-Star break. 15 stolen bases. His OBP looks a little bit more like you wish his batting average was. But again, we've been doing this for the last couple weeks, buying on principle with players. I want to buy on principle the talent of Julio Rodriguez, historically always a better second half player. His expected batting average is 265, despite the fact he's hitting 247. His expected slugging is 443, despite just 389. Cal Raleigh's been the story in Seattle, but I think Julio is the best kept secret, and I want to buy him because I think the price is at rock bottom. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the price is at like rock bottom, but if the person in your league is kind of treating it like that, then I want to be the buyer of it. Because I like in how you presented it, you'd be surprised if you heard he has 11 homers and 15 stolen bases. We're like, oh, he's the most disappointing. Still pretty decent counting stats on a team that's held up. But I think the biggest thing is what people have come to terms with and why it's a disappointment is he is not the first round player, not the second round player. You know, there are some free agents out there. I mean, Byron Buxton is dramatically outperforming Julio Rodriguez, and Byron Buxton was probably taken like 250 plus. So those are the type of things that are going to like stick with people. But to your point, you know, the profile lacks what you would really want in like a crazy buy, but we do have this just like historical Julio Rodriguez, the type of player that he is that's sitting with us. You mentioned he's a second half player. Absolutely right. 2023, he had a 50 plus, almost 60 point differential in his batting average first and second half. He hit over 300 in the second half. Last season, same thing. This is about 20 point difference, but it was between 267 and 285. So now we're going into 2025. He's got a roughly 250 first half batting average, which historically it has shown us that he'll start hitting lefties a little bit better, and then he's going to have a higher batting average. The XBA is there. His barrel and hard hit are down, so I hope he can kind of materialize there. But I think the key to this is I don't think he's going to return to being the first round player. But this version of Julio Rodriguez still is projecting out to be at least a 2020 guy. And if he bounces in the second half, you might get 15-15 out of him on a shorter second half. So I like the idea if someone is panicked and they're selling him rock low, I'm buying.
Statistically speaking, he is basically having an identical season to Lawrence Butler, who I think all of us think of as a massive disappointment.
Also a disappointment, yeah.
But nowhere near the disappointment of a guy you take in the first round. So Julio, huge disappointment. Buy. Also, another disappointing first round pick, Gunnar Henderson this year, hitting 271. That's okay. OPS is at 778. That's all right. He's got 10 homers, 10 steals. Look, the Orioles have just been a disaster, but the 24-year-old Henderson has already done enough in 2 previous seasons for me to be buying in on him. You look at the Baseball Savant page. You look at a lot of red. The exit velo still good. Hard hit rate still good. Bat speed still good. So all of those things are good. It just seems like a season where, you know, losing sucks and everyone's kind of losing focus and injuries and all the things that have happened that could have gone wrong. But there's still plenty of season left for Gunnar Henderson to be helpful. And I do feel like if you had Gunnar Henderson as your first overall pick, the season probably hasn't gone all that well for you potentially. So you could lend a helping hand and take that hand and pull Gunnar Henderson off someone's roster and put it on yours.
I'm always a buyer of guys. I actually probably feel better. I don't think the prices are the same, but if somehow the prices were the same on Julio and Gunnar, it would be all Gunnar for me. 10 homers, 10 stolen bases, 271. Like, I think he's doing versions of what people expect. The problem is here, this is lining up to like maybe he can be a second round-ish fantasy value, but he's not sniffing that first round return. But there's still a lot in his game. The hard hit rate's extreme. Average exit velocities are extreme. The expected batting average, I think you mentioned like almost 280. And Yeah, he's hitting off speed and fastballs really well. Just got to probably start pulling the ball a little bit more. He's got a good zone contact. He's just been unhealthy in the first half. The question will be like, if the Orioles are selling off, what happens? Like, is he going to step up? Is the whole team context going to kind of come back down? Are they not? I don't know what it's going to look like, but I just know that like I trust Gunnar Henderson. So if you're giving me discounts, I absolutely want to jump on any opportunity to buy Gunnar because the first half is done. Maybe we get that first. We know there's a first round talent in there. Seems to be stealing more bases, this year. So I don't think it's unheard of that like he could end this season with near 30-20 again, and that would just be due to a big second half.
Yeah, look, he had 37 homers and 21 steals last year at 281. The year before, his rookie season, 28 homers, 10 steals, hit 255. So, look, even if he's a 270 hitter and that's what he really is, okay. Just want to see a little bit more power here in the second half, and I think he's capable of that. What is Zac Gallen capable of? Well, lately, good starts. Don't look now, boys and girls. But over his last 3 starts, he's 2-1 with a 2.95 ERA, 18 innings, 21 strikeouts, just two walks. Unbelievable turnaround for Zac Gallen, whose whip is at 1.09. And the rest of his season has been fugly. That's right. It has been absolutely downright terrible for Zac Gallen. Something has clicked recently, which means if somebody still has Zac Gallen on their roster, they're looking at this as an opportunity to say, okay, let me get out from under this, more than likely. And chances are the Diamondbacks are looking to make some moves here at the deadline. There's a good possibility he could land on the Cubs or some other contending team. And if so, Zac Gallen's potential is even better in fantasy. He has been awful. He has been unstartable. And the last 3 starts, all of a sudden things have turned around. Welsh, I know you were a tough sell, but now I feel like you're also a buyer of Zac Gallen after his most recent performance.
I'm interested in a buy. I've been
probably
the most critical.
You like
Zac
it.
Gallen.
Come on.
There's only one reason. The last start didn't do anything for me. It hasn't done a whole lot. I mentioned this on leading off, but Sandy Alcantara had like 4 really good starts. He kind of paired together. The biggest difference in why, outside of like his historical data, like Zac Gallen has historically been like just a really good pitcher. Strikeouts are there, can go deep into games. But this last start that he had, we saw velo increases. That's the biggest thing for me. Fastball about 1 mile per hour. Slider was like close to 2 miles per hour. Seeing those velo increases is critical because what Gallen wants to do is he wants to pump strikes with a cutter and fastball, and then he wants to bury his changeup and his curveball. And you can't do that, A, if you don't throw your fastball for strikes, and B, also if your fastball is just super hittable. Well, he increased the velo, he had a high zone percentage, and then he buried his secondary stuff. And what happened? Just ate up the Padres. That's the winning Zac Gallen that has not been there for 2 months. So am I all the way bought back in? No, because I think there's still volatility in his game, and it comes down to one thing. If he is not throwing his fastball in the zone and having any command of it, he's screwed. He doesn't have that other stuff that's going there. He throws his curveball 15% of the time in the zone. At some point, guys are going to just stop swinging at it if he can't throw his fastball for strikes. So that's what's susceptible to me, and that's what I'm questioning. But things looked so much better in this last start. We know he is just been a great pitcher. I do think there's a possibility he could turn it around. So I think if somebody is like wanting to get out, I would buy on the cheap, and maybe a new team context might kind of rev him up and get him excited if he does get traded. So yeah, I'm definitely interested in it, but I'm not all the way back.
See, I think if you wait too long, the window closes. So to me, it's now.
You can do it now, but it's about
I think you have to do it now, because otherwise the person who's held on long enough has had this patience is like, oh, my patience has been rewarded. And the next thing you know, he gets traded and then it gets completely shut. I think this is a very tiny window. It's got huge risk attached to it. I'm willing to take that risk. And I think a lot of managers are right now with the way pitching injuries have gone this year. So if you want Gallen, this is the week to make that deal off this last start. If you want out from Gallen, this is probably the time to do it. But again, huge risk reward. We're going to talk about some more players here, some to sell. We might disagree on some of these names, but before we get to them, just don't forget about the Trade Analyzer. When you sync your leagues for free with Fantasy Pros MLB My Playbook at fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook, you can use tools like the Trade Analyzer to evaluate all of your trades that you're thinking about. It'll suggest trades for you too, and which trades could help you in the standings and your starting lineup. So hit up Fantasy Pros MLB My Playbook, download the app, use the Trade Analyzer, and go to fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook to sync your leagues for free. Still plenty of time, and football season's around the corner, so you can get all 6 months of the premium tools right now to take you through the rest of your baseball season and straight on into NFL. Let's start with Jasson Dominguez, a player I want to sell. Why? Because he's had a bunch of home runs recently, and I'm still not buying in wholeheartedly. His expected batting average is at 246, despite the fact his batting average is at 267. His expected slugging is under 400, despite the fact the slugging is 426. The weighted on base is below average. The barrel percentage, exit velocity, average at best. Look, Jasson Dominguez, to me, I think is still a work in progress, and I think the recent hot streak might make him more palatable to some potential suitors. So I want to get out from Jasson Dominguez now because I don't like some of the deeper stats. What do you think about moving on from Dominguez?
Well, I look at them a little bit different. There's some that I'm still in. The hard hit rate is still 50%, which I love. His launch angle, it's one of the biggest differences, which might be like just a game theory change for him because he had like a 5-degree launch angle last year. It's up to 13. So he's getting the ball in the air and barrel is down a little bit, which I would like to improve. But the things that keep me going is if you can start pulling the ball with that hard hit rate and that launch angle, things are going to fly. He has not been, but he's got some interesting splits. He has most of his homers and a high batting average on the road. And we're talking about like a very hitter-friendly environment in New York, which I think if things click a little bit more and he pulls the ball a tiny bit more, you're going to have even better results, where he has 8 homers and 14 stolen bases. But also, he's absolutely destroyed righties this year. He's kind of looking like he might have to be a platoony player, which I know you don't like. I'm okay if a guy can be put in situations where they're going to succeed at all times. And this is a strong side platoon guy hitting 297 against righties. And as far as like what he's done over the season, and he's like a homer outburst here, he has improved his batting average every single month of the season. The next month has always been better. He hit 279 last month with a 391 early on in this month. So I guess at the end of the day, like we're starting to see some of the pieces. He walks, he hits the ball hard, he's getting the ball in the air, he's hitting fastballs. There's just a few little things that need to click. While all of this is still happening, he looks a little raw. He's still putting up a pretty good fantasy season. And those splits, I think, are pretty interesting where you're struggling at home. You're hitting 235 with only 2 homers at home. That's probably not going to continue in New York. So if he keeps getting his opportunities, he's succeeding on the road. I think Jasson Dominguez is going to walk into a 2020 season. And I don't think he's going to continue like every month is better. But I think there's an opportunity he might be finding some consistency. So if Jasson Dominguez is still a fringy player for a lot of people, I'm going to buy him.
All right, I'm going to sell him. Let's get to Nico Hoerner, a guy that doesn't have much power, and recently has been a little bit of a power surge. But again, when you look at the deeper metrics, it's not going to support everything. His expected slugging is 369. That's just absolutely gross. It's the worst. Look, a guy doesn't hit the ball particularly hard. He's a guy that if a team is looking for stolen base help in your league and you've got him, you could sell him off because the rest of the hit tool, I think, is very unimpressive. So for me, this is a single category sell, where if you're okay on stolen bases and he's a bonus for you, you move on. And I think a lot of teams in those roto head-to-head category leagues especially are looking for guys like Nico Hoerner who can help you out there. If you picked up Chandler Simpson off the waiver wire, I think you'd rather roll with him rest of season than Nico Hoerner. That's my thought process. What's yours when it comes to Nico?
So I like that you said Chandler Simpson. So I don't think he's a single category guy. He's a 3-category guy. But that's it. Like he is not... He will not compete in RBIs and homers. So it's not like, oh, he's like a 3 and he could be this. No, he's 3. That's it. He has 51 runs, which is pretty good this year. He's got a high batting average and he's got stolen bases. Those are the 3 categories that you're getting. I don't buy really any of the rest of it. What a worrisome part would be is if one of those goes, like specifically the batting average. The batting average will then affect the runs, affect the stolen bases. And that is something that could come back down to earth. It's a little bit more supportive with his expected batting average, but I'm fine with it. And the reason I mentioned like the Chandler Simpson thing, because Chandler Simpson was just another one of those guys that was floating back out that you could have picked up. He's probably going to get same categorical stuff that I do think chasing batting average and runs can be important, maybe not as much as stolen bases. If someone is willing to pay like a premium on these stolen bases and a high current batting average of Nico Hoerner, I am willing to sell. So I'm with you. I've never been a big Nico Hoerner guy, but I do think he is more than just a 1-category player. He's a strong 3-category player that if you can materialize into something else great, I'm very comfortable doing it.
The recent update for Hunter Greene has not been great. A little bit of a potential setback on his return from a groin injury, which gives Chase Burns' value, I think, a little bit of extra float. And I think I want to take advantage of that in the trade market. I still say Chase Burns very talented. Chase Burns could potentially develop into a really nice major league pitcher. I think he's more of a thrower than a pitcher at this stage in his career. I've said it on Leading Off. I'm going to say it here again just to reiterate for those who missed it. And so far, it's been mixed results at the big league level. 10 innings for him, 9 earned runs. I know we had the 1 blow-up start, but still, the blow-up start's there, and he still has only gotten to the 5th inning in 1 of his 3 starts. So he's going to be limited in innings. He is going to be a bit inefficient, it seems like, early going. And on top of that, the fact that he is probably going to stick in the rotation for the next couple of weeks, there's a lot of reasons where I think you can sell the hype of Chase Burns, the electric fastball, all those things that make a lot of us fantasy nerds extremely excited. Chase Burns clicks a lot of those boxes, right? But if you're talking about fantasy productivity down the stretch, if you could turn Chase Burns into Zac Gallen, that's a trade that I make every single day. And I think that kind of trade might be out there to be had. Welsh, who would you rather have rest of season? Gallen?
Okay, so
or
under
Burns?
that scenario, I do think that's interesting. I think Zac Gallen is like maybe the play, especially if he gets traded for wins and stuff like that. But this is another one of our debating ones. I'm not with you on the Chase Burns. I don't think it's a great time because he's got an 8 ERA. Regardless of like how electric, some of the stuff is, people are still going to look at surface stats and they're going to see an 8 ERA. They're going to see an almost 6 expected ERA, and they're going to see the walks. So people are going to think like you. I mean, he only gave up 1 earned run in the last start, and you were like, this is not a good start. And it's like, yeah, the walks are bad, but he did maintain 1 earned run. He struck out 7 in every single start that he's had. That big blow up has inflated everything. I think there's massive strikeout potential with Chase Burns. I love the bounce back, and he's also had a pretty rough go. If you look at his starts so far, his career started against the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Phillies. So give me some decent starts.
And I think you're exactly the kind of manager I'm looking for, is the one that certainly plays in dynasty leagues too, but also that sees the potential. Because I think Burns has a lot of potential. I don't think that's false. I want to maximize that potential and change it in for productivity rest of season to win, because I don't think it happens in 2025 for him. I think 2025 is a bit of a slog where he goes 5 innings, has some starts where you're like, wow, look at that start, and some like, wow, look at that start. I think that is something I don't want to deal with. I'd rather turn him into something that I think a little bit more comfortable starting on a weekly basis.
And my advice would be is if that is what you want to do, you need to wait 1 more start. This is not the time with the 8 ERA and this. If he has, I want to say, if I remember correctly, the matchups coming up are good. I want to say it might be like the Rockies or something. Like, let's have one of those really good matchups, 1 more good start, then you sell him off after he's paired all these strikeouts together.
If it's a Rocky start, yes.
And I don't think it's not the worst thing in the world. And I particularly, I just like your Gallen idea. That is a way to maximize. But just remember, there's a ton of upside with Burns, but there's volatility in his walks. Him, Mizorowski, these young guys, walks are going to be a problem. You just do like to see guys that have a little bit of walk issues be able to work around it. And out in 2 of the 3 starts with Burns, he has just an electric fastball and slider. But, people do overpay for rookies, so you might not be wrong.
They overpay for rookies, but also, Welsh, if you wait too long, again, the window closes. I think it's the Hunter Greene news that makes Chase Burns all of a sudden get a bigger bump in that trade market, because people go, oh, he ain't going anywhere even if he struggles. And I think that is very important. But what do you think? Who would you rather have rest of season? Gallen or Chase Burns? Drop your comments below. You might win yourself a jersey from Pristine Auction of signed Juan Gonzalez quality. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.